From Las Vegas, Sandy Castell and friends.
Riga the host. Here is Sandy Castell.
Good morning and welcome to Sandy Castell and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael. Good morning, Chef Michael.
Yeah, what's up, you dirty son of a... How you doing?
How are you? We've also got a very special guest in here with us today.
I love his mustache.
And
Great.
he is on the front cover of Downtown Zen.
Not Downtown Zen.
And it says, Getting Punked Steampunk with Doc Phineas Castle.
Wow.
Hi, Doc Phineas Castle.
Good morning and hello, everybody. How are you doing, Sandy? Such a pleasure to be here with you and the chef.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much, dear Doc.
Wow, you know, it's interesting. I've just been learning a little bit about the steampunk, you know, over the last couple years and stuff, because we've had a few people that have been on the show that have talked about it. And, you know, I used to watch the Wild Wild West, and somebody told me that it kind of refers back to, you know, it's kind of like that era or whatever,
Well,
the way they used to dress and everything, right?
Well, that's probably the original steampunk show that ever existed.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that show.
Robert Conrad always looked so great in his wild outfits, and both of those guys, and all of the little gadgets they have, and the fact that they lived on a train, that really was the ultimate steampunk TV show.
Right. Well, it was a different version, kind of, you know, instead of being like James Bond, you know, and having all of his trinkets, it was a different version, like the Western version.
Yes, and it's very appropriate, you know, because our steampunk movement pretty much is Victorian times, you know, so you're looking at 1830 to roughly 1880, 1890. So that's definitely that television show, and it really, really was amazing. All the wonderful kinds of things that they introduced to the public, and we didn't even know that was called steampunk. It was steampunk before there was steampunk. So,
well, who coined the name?
Well, it was basically coined by a wonderful literary giant, and that's K.W. Jeter, and he's a gentleman who was writing in the 1980s, kind of in the feeling of Jules Verne.
Oh, yeah.
So really the papa of this movement is Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
right.
Around the World in 80 Days, Mysterious Island, this idea of inventors, somebody using the Victorian technology, which was, of course, steam, right?
Right.
To create things like artificial limbs, ways to convey yourself, the wonderful locomotive. And so K.W. Jeter was on television, and the host asked him, he said, well, what do you call this era that you're writing in? And he says, oh, gosh, I don't know. Steampunk? And so it just kind of stuck. And so since 87, we've had this movement. And in the last few years, it's just turned into fashion, where Prada has a steampunk collection. And I was just in Paris, and everybody's walking around with goggles and their wild top hats. So it's sweeping the world, and definitely the college campuses. And
Well, you know, it's a funny thing you should say that, because Jack the Ripper,
Wow, look at this.
the Jack the Ripper days, that was steampunk, wasn't it? That outfit?
Jack the Ripper, and of course Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock
Anything
Holmes.
I was going
to
to say,
do
here's
with
the Sherlock Holmes look.
Yes, that
know,
is
I don't know if you can get a close-up of that,
Right.
Ryan.
I got to tell you
Close-up
that
of
the styles today, and I have to tell you the truth. I'll be 63. You know, my era, people dress sharp. When I came to Vegas in '74, Sinatra's, Sammy Davis, Dean, their audiences, even if you looked at the Ed Sullivan shows, the people that were in that audience, they had suits and ties. When Kmart came to Las Vegas, that was the end of the era of people dressing nice. Because, you know, nobody.
Well, it was definitely a different style.
Well, yeah, and it's nice that people are going back
Flip-flops, T-shirts, and shorts.
because I have, you know, there's a time I ran Planet Hollywood. I had a location there. And
Right.
the women that would walk in Planet Hollywood, these kids, gorgeous women, and they're always pulling their dress down. You know what I mean? They're so short. And the guys that they were with, I used to say to myself, do you really want to pick up a girl looking like that? These kids today,
Somebody does.
Well, they look, I got to tell you the truth, that style today, for the men, these guys don't dress sharp.
You know what
They
this
really
reminds
don't.
me of? This reminds me of, what was that movie we just watched where the guy goes back in time?
And it could be
10 Monkeys.
Time travel. It was one of the time travel
Oh, that
movies.
was the greatest.
Yeah, remember? It was one of the older movies.
So-
It's not the more recent one. But, you know, it just reminds me
The
of
Time
that.
Machine?
Time
It's
Machine.
The Time Machine. Yeah, that's it. The Time Machine.
1962 with Vivette Mimure and Rod Taylor.
Oh yes.
Yes.
What a
yes.
great! Remember that movie?
Oh, are you kidding
The
me?
Eloy
That's my
and the
era.
Enoch.
And they had the Morlock.
Remember that?
Morlock. Oh
And-
my gosh.
And then you have people like Michael Moorcock and K.W. Jeter. They're writing books like Morlock Nights.
Right.
So they're going back to look at that time period and writing science fiction today as if it was occurring during the time of Queen Victoria.
Do you remember the end of the movie when he went in and he went away and he took 3 books? Remember?
yeah, but nobody knows what
And
they were.
they says, could you? So somebody says to me, they said, Mike, they says, if you were in the time machine, you had to go back and you had to take 3 things with you. What would it be?
Besides me.
We said,
And you're timeless, Sam.
Yes, of
So
course.
You don't have
Thank
to
you.
worry about anything.
I would say a redhead, a brunette, and a blonde. But it was really great. That
But I'm
movie.
all of those in one.
What movie? What book do you think he took? I think he took the Bible.
Who knows?
What the hell? What book
It's something
did he
to
take?
help the civilization.
Remember the rings, the talking
Philosophy?
rings?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And probably who knows what he took with him.
Well,
Could be
everybody would have a
Socrates,
different
it could-
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody. But I mean, I think it's a wonderful question to ask yourself. And certainly our group we're all into fantasy and into cosplay.
Right.
And so we're saying, wow, what if you could go back in time?
If you could go back in time,
Well,
all jokes aside.
and know what you know today.
Right.
Well, yeah,
You know.
everybody would love that. First of all, I would have never got married, number one. But
but honestly, Chef,
if you can go back in time, what era would you want to go back to live out your life?
Can you imagine
Yeah.
any more elegant time than our Victorian ancestors? Now, you and I are the same age, so we're talking like our grandparents.
Right.
Our grandparents, they were elegant. My grandfather had a walking stick and a nice hat and a pipe.
My grandmother wore gloves every time she went out.
My grandmother wore gloves, and Saturday she made her own soap with rose petals.
Oh, yes, yes.
And these people, they had their own chickens, they had their own cows, they had their own fruit trees,
And that's why they live long lives too. A lot of times,
Yes.
because look, and they were out in the garden picking it.
Yeah.
The food.
My grandmother was
They weren't
94
dealing
when
with
she
all of
died.
these hormones
94
that
years
the
old.
Chickens are being fed
Mine
now.
was 99.
Yeah.
Your mother was your
Grandmother
grandmother
was
99 years old. God bless.
The other one 101.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh,
And
my
they
gosh.
lived so elegantly, and I'm so happy that I'm 64, so I lived during a time where I got to know those people. And now we have these young people, when I teach a class at UNLV, and I used to look at them and I'd say, well, your pants are kind of slagging down
Yeah,
there.
kinda.
And you can see the underwear
Well,
and everything.
I gotta give you a compliment. You got the greatest mustache I've ever seen. Because my mustache, because I'm in on television, and I would love to grow it.
Come on.
Remember?
Come
He
on.
did, but
Now's
it's
the
so
time.
big and black,
mine
and
just
it
comes
takes up half
down,
his
and like
face.
yours, I curled it up like this, and I don't care
Right.
where I went, it looked phenomenal.
I can remedy that immediately. I was just at a convenience store,
Right.
and they're giving out straws now. This mustache is so popular with the steampunk. You can just sip out of the straw. You got a
You
mustache.
got a
that
mustache.
hurts.
Now, how long did it take you? How long did it take you to grow that?
About 6 months.
Yeah.
To really cultivate it, and I've had it now for several years.
Well, there was a
But
guy
it's
years
Yeah?
ago. His
Not
name was,
easy.
His name was this guy's name is Joe Fusco. He was an undertaker.
Oh, God.
I was 15 years old, and I got out of the car with my mother, and this guy stepped out of a limousine. I'll never forget it. Most handsomest guy I've ever seen in my life. He had all white hair. White, combed like D. Martin, that perfect
Wow.
hair,
Wow.
and he had a white beard and a mustache like yours, pure white. And I said, Ma, I says, I want to look like that guy when I'm his age. Unfortunately, my hair went. My hair's gone. But I've never forgot that guy the rest of my life. He looked so great. And beards and mustaches are starting to come back now.
Well,
you know?
it's making a big comeback,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, because of the steampunk movement.
Yeah, I think I wanna grow my mustache
And
back.
it's this mustache. It's this curl-up mustache.
Yeah.
So, I started doing this, and kids at UNLV, they said, wow, I can't grow a mustache, Dr. Castle, but I'm living vicariously with you.
Well, and a lot of or they're doing this. What is that called when they just
The
do
side-
it right around the
Well,
edge?
that's out of the chops. These are the
chop.
sideburns, the chops.
Yeah, the chops.
And I had parents come up to me and they said, I don't know what you have done to my son and daughter, but my daughter's now in velvet pants with a top hat and a monocle. I said, don't complain. That's an improvement.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me tell you.
You got to see my sister's mustache. It's beautiful. My sister's got a mustache.
So
Just
now
gorgeous.
there's a huge event coming up. That's the steampunk event downtown.
Yes, and this is really wonderful because I've been out on the steampunk circuit now for several years talking at conventions, and you've got San Francisco, you've got Chicago, you've got New York, you've got Boston,
Right.
and people are going, Las Vegas? Steampunk in Las Vegas? And I said, you don't realize what we have in Las Vegas. And I was referring to the Main Street Station,
Right.
where we're going to have it downtown. We used to call it the jewel of downtown.
Right.
And you know
That's
that
right.
when that building was being built, they went back and got the chandeliers from the San Francisco Opera House from 1905 that had collapsed. Those chandeliers are in the Main Street Station.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Chandeliers from the Lido in Paris.
Oh,
kidding.
yeah.
Wow.
In the Pullman Ballroom, this is what I fell in love with, that ballroom. The wainscoting on the walls and the fireplace came out of Pickwick Castle. When you look at downtown Zen, you'll see me in a Sherlock Holmes outfit.
Right,
And I'm
right.
in that gorgeous room, and they actually have train
see.
cars like the Wild Wild West
Yeah.
inside the hotel.
Now, all your clothes when you go out, people must compliment you. People must come up to
Well,
you, take pictures with you.
They go pretty crazy, but I'm also a little bit of a TV star. I'm on Pawn Stars.
Right.
So,
Pawn Stars, what's that?
I go out. So I'm going out to 152 countries in 38 languages.
Oh my gosh!
And
yes.
I can't even go to do my shopping anymore
Here it
without
is. Here's the
getting,
wainscoting that you're talking
people
about.
coming and saying, "Oh my God, it's Doc Phineas," and they recognize me. And I'm the antiquities expert on the show, so
Right.
all the really ancient stuff I'm identifying, even stuff that they can't identify from museums. I can
Really?
come in and identify because I've been teaching this as a college prof for 40 some years.
So you're an expert.
One
They
of
say
them.
I am an expert.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I think it's come from being on anthropological digs throughout the world,
Wow.
and also, I was curating museums at Berkeley, working with Robin Pell at the National Gallery of Art in Washington D.C., and identifying things, that no one else could identify. I've traveled extensively in 92 countries, and just been on digs in Valley of the Kings and Egypt and India and Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and places like that around the world. So.
I was in a dig myself and went to Italy, and I found an envelope, and I was going to bring it to the Pawn Stars, and it was from the Last Supper when Jesus had the Last Supper.
Oh, wow.
And I had it. Experts came in from London and Paris, and when they opened up the thing, it was a check from the Last Supper.
You should bring that in. Rick might buy that.
Rick,
Yeah.
you like how we're right?
So, what is the most unusual thing that you have checked out on the Pawn Stars, like piece of antiques?
Well, I'll tell you, I just saw the most wonderful Buddha I've ever seen in my life, and Rick just bought that recently, but it was from Tibet. And I've been to Tibet and to the Lhasa Palace of the Dalai Lama.
Right, right.
And, the Chinese came in the 1950s and they kind of just took everything and melted it down.
Right.
And here was an
gold.
impeccable, perfectly preserved 1750, Buddha. And it was just gorgeous, and to get to see something like that really does belong in a museum. And this guy, some friends had given it to him. They bought it in a yard sale. Can you imagine? So, to see things like that, I just say, well, I'm on the History Channel, and the reason why I'm on the History Channel is to tell all the young people out there, when you inherit something, don't give it away for $2.
Right. So now,
find out
what did he
you've
do
done.
with that after he found out what it was?
Well, he lived with it, but he's a Christian, and, he just didn't feel really down with having, this giant Buddha statue
right.
in his house, so he kept it for a while, and he decided to part with it. But
good.
I think, I see a lot of that. We had a guy come on with a bowl. This is episode 344, and he couldn't figure out what this bowl was. He bought it for $2. It turned out I got him $4,000 for the bowl.
Really?
And those kids had 10 or 11 bowls in Miami Beach and sold them for $2 each.
They didn't even have a clue what it was.
Oh my gosh!
Don't even know.
Well, a lot of people,
What kind of a bowl was it?
It was from authentic bowl from the Qianlong dynasty. And
Sandy,
I flipped it over and read the Chinese and showed people on the History Channel. This
What
is
it
what you
was.
look for. This is how you read Chinese on an ancient world.
Sandy and I always go into Salvation Army because they're one of our sponsors. Goodwill. They got so. I'm going to tell you something. If we look around for stuff, we look around for stuff, and I see some, stuff.
Some stuff.
Some stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really incredible that like little China stuff, and then they have like the crystal, and we bought a silver tea set. Remember, we bought that silver. It was all silver.
Oh,
yeah.
We paid like $10 for it. It was the two pops, and but somebody's trash
real
is someone
silver.
else's treasure. When you
You're
really,
absolutely right.
it's amazing.
And I've had friends visiting here from different countries like Cuba and Latin American countries, and like, my God, look what people give away in America. They just say, I don't want that stuff in my garage, or that belonged to my grandfather.
Well, yeah, for them it has no value. But anyway, if you're just tuning in now, you're listening to Sandy Castell and Friends Variety Show with Chef
Chef
Michael.
Michael.
And if I sound a little gravelly today, it's because I am.
Yeah, she don't feel good. I told her to stay home.
Anyway, we've got Doc Phineas Castle,
Phineas.
and it's so funny because his name is spelled almost like mine, Kastle instead of Tel.
We're long lost cousins,
That's
Sandy.
right,
I'm
you must be.
completely convinced of
That's
that.
right. Well, my dad says so too. Anyway, so we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
That's right. Don't touch that dial, lady.
Cause even if there were 40 more, I wouldn't sleep a minute away.
Making every morning brighter. This is Sandy Castell and Friends. Here again, your host, Sandy Castell.
Hi, and welcome back to Sandy Castell and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael. I'm flipping through the pages
somebody on
here
the line.
of the Downtown Zen magazine, and it says uniquely U.S., distinctly different. With Phineas Castle, Doc Phineas Castle, and you've got some sharp outfits here. And who's on the line?
Steve, hiya, buddy.
Oh, Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hello,
How are
Michael.
you?
Hello, Sandy, and hello to the professor. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you guys a question? I hope you're having a great day. Something funny happened in one of these little stores that Michael and Sandy like to go in. I went into Savers about 2 years ago. I'll never forget this. And I always like to look at art. I like to buy art, especially if it's something nice. Sometimes you find some good deals. Well, I pull out this giant picture frame. It's like 4 feet long, a foot wide. It's glass. And guess what's inside it?
What?
$100 bills, old $100 bills, and a picture of a cowboy on a horse that says the Republic of Texas. So there's two $100 bills. They look really old. Two $20 bills, but in the middle, guess what there is? Two $3 bills. And I said, this is going to be a joke.
$3 bills.
Listen to this. I'm thinking maybe Benny Binion, because it's near downtown,
Yeah.
did some big joke for his high rollers. So anyway, I put it in the back of the pile, cover all and push everything behind it, and leave it there. I go home and I said, that's the stupidest thing. Let me call a pawn shop. And they tell me, during the Civil War, indeed, the United States government or the Republic of Texas issued $3 bills. They could be real.
They do.
I get so nervous, I jump in my car. I go all the way from Flamingo and Maryland, believe it or not, catch every light green all the way to Charleston. I go running in the store, run into the pile, look in the back, and it's gone.
Yeah, somebody found it.
Anyway, somebody said they really did, during the Civil War, make $3 bills. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Well,
it
if
is.
anybody would know that, Steve, Doc would.
Well, that, and that story I've heard before of other people going to, let's say, like estate sales.
Right.
And one lady told me she bought a painting off a wall. A little elderly lady had passed away and her family was selling everything off, and she pulled off the back of a picture frame $1,700 in cash.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh.
can
She
you believe it?
turned around, went back to the thing, and bought every picture at the estate sale.
No kidding.
But my grandmother used to do the same thing. This was a Victorian trick. You put your money behind a frame.
You hide it, yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. When you're out there picking and shopping, you kind of
never
want to
know.
look in those little secret treasures. You never know what you're going to find.
You know what they said on TV the other day? It was on national TV that about, I think, 3 years ago it happened in, I think it was, Buffalo, New York. Somebody found behind an old sofa in an old house an original Michelangelo. I think think they said it's going to go $50 million or up at auction. Imagine that. Wow. You would think everyone would have been in a museum or in the hands of a collector, but you never know, right?
Not always. Not
You
always.
never
know just how much I love you.
Find at the back of a
There with the
picture.
velvet voice. Hey, you guys have a great day.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much, Steve.
Thanks for your stories. I love those stories.
Well,
That's
anyway,
great.
yesterday, Steve, we had a big dinner at the house every Sunday. You know, I always cook on Sunday. My father-in-law, Sandy's dad. The young man looks so forward to coming over to the house on Sundays. And I made a beautiful meal. And he's Dick Castell is one of those rare guys. He's 141 years old. And I was watching him, Sandy, last night, sitting at the table. And you could have seen, you know, you're familiar with the word discernment.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And you just know there's a feeling. You know, you could. Some of my nose, honey. Thank you. Is it off? Is it off?
I think so.
Is it off? Thank you.
Yeah.
You sure? Okay. You don't want anything in your nose, folks. So anyway, he sat down and he was. You know, we had about 15 people, and we had a sit down dinner, and I made shrimp scampi. I made the meatballs, the braciole, the sausage.
Oh,
The
yeah.
roasted peppers, chicken Pascal. Dr. Perry was there. My attorney, Neil Coloneris.
I have to use a corset.
Oh,
You know what I
my
mean? And then it's funny because we had
are
a guest,
lucky.
the girl that was the playmate bunny for
November 2014.
November
in
2014.
the UK.
I thought she was going to bring magazines for everybody. So all my friends were outside waiting, but she didn't bring no money. Anyway, make a long story short, she was very pleasant. Well, her girlfriend
She's
that
adorable.
was with her and her manager. We get done to dinner, right? I says, I'm going to move for a banana split. So I run to Baskin and Robbins. I says to the girl, I said, you ever taste German chocolate ice cream? It only comes out certain times. And I got a banana split last night and a sundae. And I says, here's a spoon. And the girl took 1 bite, 2 bites, 3 bites. She pushed it away from me. I pushed it back. I said, come on, kid, eat it. You can eat. You can gain a few pounds. Don't worry about it. God bless that kid. She ate the whole banana split. Very politely, though. You know, very politely.
Yes, very politely, of
Yes,
course.
yes. So how did you come to get involved with the Pawn Stars? Had you been working with them before the show ever came about?
Actually, you know, they came to me. I started the first steampunk museum, which is called the Steampunk Imaginarium here in town.
remember that.
In the downtown
Yeah.
area. And a lot of people were coming in to kind of see our inventions. And,
Yes, right.
We make robots, and we'll take, you know, old computer boards and make all kinds of fun stuff.
Right.
And a couple of their scouts came in.
Oh.
And they, you know, they basically headhunted me there and found me. And they said, where have you been? You know, we've been doing this for a number of years. We've been looking for a guy like you. So I came on the show. They started sending me items. I started writing the provenance and, you know, telling them basically what people were trying to pawn. And so that way they could call me as an expert whenever Rick needs me.
What do you do when somebody has something like I have somebody, a friend of mine, who says that his friend has these paintings. Same thing. The parents bought them, you know, and then when they died, you know, they didn't really know what they were. They stuck them in a closet. They've been
Right.
sitting there. They threw away probably the papers, whatever, for them. Now, they sent me the pictures of them. Some of them are Monet's. It's a Picasso, a Warhol, and but then they said that when they called to Picasso, like the family of Picasso, they have to get an authentic. What do you call them?
Authentication.
Thank you.
certificate.
Authentication certificate.
Yeah.
But they also want to charge them like $2,000 or $5,000
gosh,
or
yeah.
$10,000 to get this authentication.
If it were 2,000, that would be great. It's usually
mean-
10,000.
Doc,
Okay, so yeah, that's right. But each one was different. He said each one was a different price.
Do you
yeah.
charge
And
for
so
your
they
services?
Do, huh?
Well, I charge when I have to, like, go out to somebody's house, you
To
know,
look
take
at
time
it.
out of
Right,
my day.
okay.
And I have people that call me up and they say, Doc, you know, I just had these things in my house from my grandparents and they're Chinese and I never could identify them and I don't know
Right.
if it's worth any money or not. Could you give me 2 hours of your time? Well, come on. You know, I'm on television.
Sure.
And 2 hours of my time is pretty valuable. And,
Right.
and so, you know, I do charge by the hour, but not a lot of money. Nothing.
Well, you know, the Road Show was pretty popular. I was watching that TV show, and I haven't seen it for a while, but people would take things.
sure.
You know, they
Yeah.
take like
they take stuff
chairs.
there
and,
too, right.
That
And
was
they
one
would
of my
say,
favorite
and this
shows.
was,
Yeah.
and this is worth, oh my God. Who knows? What's that?
Steve wants to know if the Imaginarium is still open.
And the Imaginarium is not at this moment. You know, that mall is in the process of changing hands.
Yes, yes.
And we're going to relocate. In fact, I'm in conversations right now with our dear Tony Shea downtown.
Yes.
And Tony just loves steampunk. He's a really good buddy of mine. And we're coming up with something, maybe something down on Fremont East.
Cool.
Where the public can come and experience steampunk. We may do a steampunk alley or something like that. But what I love about this, you guys, is that when I was teaching school, I would turn to my students and say, okay, who can come up here and find London on the globe? Not one. Not one. And I look at you guys, I get you guys, you're so professionally dressed. That's our generation.
Right.
And from our day, Google was right here,
That's
between
right.
our ears, right?
Or in an
That was
Encyclopedia Britannica.
we go to
I mean, we had to go look
a
for
library,
it.
open a book, and you knew something about the
That's
world.
right.
These kids thought Argentina was in Scandinavia. I hate to say it. They never heard of Marie Antoinette, never heard of Napoleon. And I realized that I had to do something drastic to get kids to stop texting, to listen in class,
Right.
and to have some kind of identification that history is something real and wonderful. And if you don't know your history, you're going to get another Hitler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to know history. It's very,
That's
very
right.
important.
Doc, it's funny.
And so you
Sandy
made
and
it
I-
imagine, like you
I
said,
said, dress
you
the
create
clothes
something.
and be elegant,
And
be
then they wanna
professional.
find out
and,
about it.
And I honestly think this movement's maybe a better man. You
Right,
know,
Sandy and I went to dinner a couple of weeks ago, and we sat down at the table, and the people, there was a husband and wife, two grown adults, children, I don't know who they were. For the duration of their dinner, they were texting on the phone.
Yeah.
They didn't say nothing to each other. We're in business. Sandy and I are in business. We get texts constantly.
Yeah.
And we have to answer them, even on the air.
Yeah.
And she'll get mad at me. She'll say, Mike, we're having dinner right now. Do you got to answer that? And you're right, because I see it on the phone. I get a text. I'm driving.
Well, you start to feel.
You start to
like
feel,
you
I gotta
have to.
do that.
You
What
don't
happened?
necessarily have to, but what
No.
happens is you start feeling the pressure because people
Right.
expect you to be available 24/7, which is doesn't give you any time to really live your life.
They never
If you're-
they
you know.
never disconnect. Watch the kids.
Right.
They never disconnect. And so, my thinking was, okay, the litmus test for
Yes.
a good professor is somebody who can get up there, give a talk, and they're not on their laptops, they're not texting, they're listening. So the minute I invented Doc Phineas, and I came in, and now I'm like a Disney character. This is what they've been raised on. Hello, everybody, I'm Doc Phineas, and we're going to talk about history. We're going to learn something today. We're going to put something up here. And they're just like, wow.
Showbiz.
Yeah, and they just loved it, and everything changed. And I've had a lot of kids come up to me and say, you know something, Doc, I just love the way you dress. I like your mustache. I love this style. And I'm going to try to emulate it. And I love that. That's where I'm coming from. I want to lift that bar up for people and bring back a little bit of that elegance and inventiveness and positivity that our great-grandparents and grandparents had, rather than looking at the doom and gloom of today's world and the future, that we can invent something that will be a better future. Yeah,
That is great. That's
behind
great.
this movement.
That's great
Great,
advice too. And with that, we're gonna. If you're just tuning in now, you're listening to Sandy Castell and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael, and we've got Doc Phineas Castle, and he's going to be right back after a message from our sponsors.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, give us a call, 731-1230. I know there's something anybody wants to ask him. He knows it. You might have an old money bag. You don't know if there's any money's in it.
With some coins in it.
Yeah.
Can't you see? I'm no good without you. Take my lips. I wanna lose.
Radio show like it. This is Sandy Castell and Friends. The phone lines are open at 702-731-1230. Now, here again, Sandy Castell.
Hi, and welcome back to Sandy Castell and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael.
Steve's on the line again.
Well, hi, Steve.
Sandy, Michael, and the Doc, I got a question for you.
Okay.
I've always been a creative guy. I recycle things, take recycled materials, build things that people say, "Hi, that's an idea." Well, about a year ago, a police chief in Chicago said the big problem in this country was the best-selling, I think, video game was Grand Theft Auto Chase. Well, I came up with an idea. I made some graphics. My friend printed up some graphics for a learning program, and I'd like to give it away to a charity. I know you and Michael have good hearts, and you're involved in charities. And what it was, basically, is that kids that interact and build their own bridge across the river. The questions would be based on, the disproportionately difficult based on the age of the children. They'd also try to rescue lost explorers in the Amazon based on simplified use of the global positioning system, build the world's tallest skyscraper, learn about science, engineering, and I had all this multitude of programs. I'd like to give it away for free to somebody worthy, and you, Michael, and this doc sound like the perfect person to present it to. Maybe you guys can run with it, do something with it, finish it up, and I'd like to give it away.
Well, I'll tell you what
That's
you do.
great.
Give it to us, and we'll sit down and peruse over it, and then what we'll do is we'll see if there's something that's of substance to it.
I'd love to do that, Michael. Maybe I can meet you at the station one day to make it easy for you, because I know you guys are busy
Yes,
people
we are,
running in
sir.
100 directions. I'll come up the station one day. How's
That
that?
sounds like a
great,
great
Steve.
idea,
Thanks,
Steve.
buddy.
Thank you, and I hope the doc can be there one day. I hope I get to meet him in person.
Thank you. And you can meet me. Come on down to our wonderful steampunk convention,
Yes.
and that's going to be February 6th through
Oh.
8th at the Main Street Station.
Main Street
And
Station, okay.
I'll be in the Grand Ballroom there entertaining with steampunk celebrities from all over the world. And you can find more information at steamathon.com. It's called Steamathon, STEAM,
Steamathon.
ATHON.com.
Right.
Perfect.
And one last note to all you bright people out there. Remember, Einstein said curiosity rather than doubt is the beginning of wisdom. So if you got curiosity, that's great.
That's right.
Right?
Thank
There
you,
you go.
Steve, that's great.
Thank you,
That's
Steve.
really
Have a great day.
Have a great
You
day.
as well, sir.
You know,
as
it's a
well.
funny thing, Sandy. You know, in my neighborhood, when they say you got punked, it's a little bit different. Man.
We've also got Anita Marie on the phone. Hi, Anita. How are you?
Marie.
Good morning, beautiful people. How are you today?
Good,
All right,
good.
Anita
What's up?
Marie. A parody.
I had to call and comment and wish hello to the wonderful gentleman extraordinaire, Mr. Doc Phineas.
Thank you, dear.
How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm
Mr.
great.
Rainmaker? Are you well? We've had a long conversation sometime last week.
Yes.
And I wanted to say, next to Mr. Armani Michael, you're one of the most dapper gentlemen I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, that's so sweet of you. That means the world to me.
And I will tell you that I just saw a vision of you with your chronometer timepiece, pulling out your pocket watch, tinkering in your lab, taking us on a history back in time and the future.
Wow. I love that idea. Let's syndicate it. Let's syndicate it right now.
Let's do
Sounds
it.
good.
And remember, in the immortal words of Einstein, if at first an idea isn't absurd, then there is no hope for it.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh, and thank you. You've absolutely made my day, Paulina. God bless you.
And if you could share us your Rainmaker story, I think we would all love it.
My Rainmaker story. Let me see.
Remember in Tao, Mexico?
Oh.
With none other?
Yes, I do remember that, my dear. Well, Anita and I had a very special bonding when we were talking one day, and what happened was basically that I got sick and I went to Taos, New Mexico to work with an Indian medicine man, and in the process of doing that, I was given a Hopi Kachina doll,
Oh, yes.
and that Kachina doll was called the Rainmaker.
Uh-huh.
And they said, anywhere you take that, if you need rain, Doc, you just say a little prayer to that, offer a little sage. So I took it back to Los Angeles, and I had it one day in El Nino. El Nino hit. So I got the Rainmaker with me, I want you to know, and I think Anita's a Rainmaker too, but we were just saying how beautiful it is when the earth needs rain. There are a few of us that can maybe wave our magic wands and we bring it to the earth. And I noticed the day after we talked, Anita, there was rain.
Yes.
Do you remember that
I
rainstorm?
know.
That amazing,
I did.
that rainstorm.
I noticed that too. And you know why? It had to be christened by Albert Einstein himself. Remember when we were talking?
Yes.
The gentleman that walked behind us?
Oh yes, he looked
He was
exactly
the
like Albert
spitting
Einstein.
image
Really?
of Albert Einstein. Great minds think alike. I know, isn't it? So you wonderful ones.
Did you
Thank
know that
for
Albert
sharing.
Einstein? A lot of people don't know this, but he was Italian. He was
Sure.
from Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Einstein he was Napolitan. His family
yeah,
from
everybody
Naples,
was
Italy.
Italian.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You
The
wear
whole
one of your beautiful suits too, Michael?
yes, it was. You know, and everybody, even Jesus Christ was Italian. I'm telling you, that was 9 years old. I was
Eyes
a
of
fool.
blue.
I thought that he was Italian. My grandfather said he was Napolitan.
You got it.
I thought you were Jesus.
No.
Yeah, because you said every time you walked in.
Well, yeah,
he would call you, and he'd go,
wait a minute. Latina, this is true. You know,
Anita.
I thought my name, Anita, I'm sorry, I thought my name was Jesus Christ. Because when I went to school, they said, what's your name? I said, Jesus Christ. They said, what's your name? I said, that's my name. Because every time my father opened the door, he would say, Get in the house! So I thought for years my name was Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Anita.
Anita, thank you.
Have a great day.
Oh,
Thanks,
gosh,
Anita.
that is funny.
Okay. Have a
Well,
good
I
one.
have to say, Italians, they do definitely have some style. And the
Yes.
Italians,
Yes.
the Italians that I know in this town, I'm telling you, they lift the bar on style.
Yes.
And we were talking before about Las Vegas, how, you used to go to a casino, we would dress up.
Everybody.
And people would say, oh, hello, Mrs. Castle, to my
That's
mother
right.
at the door, and she would
Right.
come in. I loved that elegance. And Steve Wynn saw me one day. I was eating out at the Olive Tree, out on a patio there at Bellagio, and back in the Bellagio days, and he said, oh my gosh, Doc, I love the way you dress. If everybody dressed like you, I'd be a happy man. He said, look at all these yards and yards and yards of beautiful Italian marble, and everybody's in flip-flops,
That's right.
and
Baby carriages.
yeah, exactly.
flip-flops,
So
yeah.
I really do think Vegas should be a place where people really dress. Look at the beautiful stores we have. in
Oh,
this
I
town.
know. I know.
So I'm trying to bring that back, kind of mix the fashion with the old fashion,
Right.
and kind of be like a time traveler out of
Right.
time, And I think it's a very elegant look. I
Well, it's
hope.
the people itself, just like me at my age. I'll always dress, like 3-piece suits and the stuff, these different clothes. I got this gold, very bright gold color suit like Elvis would wear.
Yeah.
And this blue, and I could sport that and get away with it. A lot of guys my age, they go to Sears. They got that Sears look. You know what I'm trying to say to you?
And there's nothing really wrong with where
No,
you get
it's-
it, too,
it's
because
okay.
I had a friend that would go to. She always shopped at Penny's, but she had the best style because the way she put it all together.
Right.
It's
It's
not a matter of.
combinations.
It's not a
I
matter
mean-
of spending a lot of money on the clothes or anything like
You
that.
are right.
Or because, like you said, this leather jacket in here, Bernini, got its beautiful jacket, $30,000. Well, but you don't have to spend $30,000. There are pieces everywhere that you can
Well,
find
and I'm
mix
not.
and match.
I'm
yeah.
not too proud to say I shop at Goodwill.
Yeah.
I go to the thrift stores and Savers and all of them, and I think it's just wonderful what you can see out there that people
Oh, yeah.
discard.
I got a sweater
Yeah.
that no matter where I go with it, Sandy will tell you. People say, I love that sweater. I paid 50 cents at the Goodwill. I'll never forget it. You know what I mean? And
But he
that
wears them
sweater,
with the $600 shoes.
it don't make no difference. But the sweater looks
But it
great, and
doesn't
people say
matter.
that sweater looks great.
That's
and
right.
And I said, this is right. Now, a few weeks ago, I'm a chef. Chef jackets,
Right.
they started about $80, $100. They're not cheap.
Oh yeah.
We were in Goodwill, because sponsors, and I always look for like dishes and plates. I like the old fashioned because we do a lot of dinners every week.
Yeah.
Right.
To serve the food.
Pasta.
Pasta. I like those pasta bowls, What do you think I found? I found 4 brand new white double-breasted chef jackets. They were $5 each. I said, Sandy, look at this.
They were
They're
brand new.
Brand new.
Like not even out of the package.
Not even out of the package.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot
That's right.
of money to look great.
No.
It takes know-how.
That's right.
You know how to put
Ingenuity.
it together. And I think
Creativity.
that's something from our generation. Like we really didn't have the grunge look. In our
Right.
generation, we really
Right.
dressed up. We had
Right.
beautiful cocktail parties, and there was a certain elegance. You're a performer.
Yes.
I mean, I look back at those movies like with Peter Sellers, like the Pink Panther.
Oh, yeah.
and you
Deck
look
to the nines.
and you look back at Casino Royale with David Niven,
Mm-hmm.
and you look back at the party. There was a certain elegance that came out of the 60s
Right.
that just
Oh, the 60s was the best.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that I think what young people today are trying to do in 2015 is look back almost like a time traveler and say, well, I could borrow that from the 60s and I could borrow that from the 30s, and I like those shoes from the 1880s.
And they can create their own style.
And they're
unique
time
style.
travelers.
Right.
So, isn't that a great idea that we can kind of look back on history and say, well, to hell with this, I'm going to wear a toga.
Right. Exactly.
But you make it look great. You make it look elegant. And dressing isn't just down dressing grunge. You're putting your heart into it. And we had a whole generation of kids that were wearing their pajamas to school.
Yeah.
They came to school in their pajamas. And I said, did you bathe? And is that the same thing you slept in? Basically, no, we
Right.
didn't bathe, and that's the same thing I slept in. I said, okay, this is the downfall
Right.
of our world right now.
Civilization.
We're not even gonna bathe. We're not even gonna think I'm going onto the street. People are gonna see me. I want to lift up my personal self-image.
Right.
And I said, this will never hurt you guys. It'll help you get a job. It will help you in school where you want to really put your best foot forward. There's
right.
nothing wrong
You know,
with
Doc,
looking great.
in 1970, I was performing at a place called McGilligan's Ale House, a jazz room. And I was with the guys called the Sabella Brothers, great two jazz kids. We were kids together.
Right.
And there was a guy named Nino Barry. He was a big, big agent. And I begged this guy to come and see the show. He says to me, well, when are you performing? I said, Friday and Saturday. What time? I said, I start at 9. Show's at 9, 9 to 10, and then from 10:30 to 11:30. So I promise you I'll be there. Anyway, it comes that night. I said, what do you look like? He said, I'll introduce myself. Anyway, he never showed up. So Monday morning, I pick up the phone and I call the secretary. I said, Mr. Barry, you missed a hell of a show. He said, kid, I said, I wish you were there. He said, I was there. I seen you. He said, number one, you had no outfits. Number two, your piano player had a bottle of beer on the piano. He says, you're a bass player? Great bass player, but he was not groomed. He said, the rooms I book? He said, all class rooms. And he says to me, remember this, kid, your first impression's your last. And he hung up the phone on me. It took me 20 years to understand what that man said. Today, your first impression for your last. Now, I run Jockey Club.
Yeah.
I got 280 employees. People come for jobs. You would not believe how they walk in on a job.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at them, I said, did you just unload a truck?
Job interview. Yes.
Job interview.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're
I
coming
look
in
at
to
these
apply for a job.
And then they'll tell me, I got to have Wednesday and Friday off. You didn't even get the job, and you tell me when you went off.
You know, well, I think it's part of the generation.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's kind of like this. They grow up with these in their hands, a computer, a phone, and they're given these things, and like you said, they're stuck in these things. They have instant gratification when they look up something. If they want to see a movie, they want to find something.
That's true.
They pull it up. They're not working to get something. They're
Right.
not, they don't understand about paying your dues. They don't know what
Right.
that means. And they expect to get a job just because, I don't know why, just because they're them.
Well, you know-
and they
that's
expect
true.
to become a star like Lady Gaga. Oh, Lady Gaga went on, she was on Facebook and she became a star. Really? For 10 years before that, she was working her you-know-what off.
Right.
She
well,
was
this is true. We call it the
perfecting her
entitlement.
craft.
It's the entitlement generation.
Yes, yes.
They
That's right.
they feel entitled. And don't get me wrong, these are wonderful young people. I love
yes.
I love this generation of young
But
people.
they don't understand.
I think they haven't really been, and here's a word that we had in the 60s, mentored.
Yes,
properly.
yes. Right.
A lot of the mentors kind of got wiped out off the planet. The
Right.
really, like the wizards of the planet that could really tell you, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you walk. This is how you talk. This is how you shake somebody's
this is
hand.
how you present yourself at an
Yes.
interview.
Well, if I had to go back in time, and I'm 63, to go back to finish out my life, and they say, what era would you go back to? I was born in 52. That's when I was born in 52.
Right.
I would go back to 1947 after the war.
Right.
47, 48. That was the era.
Powerful.
Till this very day, the music I love, the people,
That's
the
a style,
style.
yeah.
There was something magical
drives me mad.
about that era. And Sandy and I today we were watching TMC.
Yeah.
And they got these movies, these old movies. There's no pyrographics. There's no special effects. We're talking, just acting.
Real people.
Real people doing acting, and there's
And
no
black and
commercials.
white.
Black and white. And
Yes.
And
we
then-
will watch 90 minutes. And it will captivate us, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And Doc, we want to thank you. I mean, it's such a blessing having you on the show.
Thank you. It's a
mean
blessing
that.
to be with both of you.
I just want to remind everybody, as I'm looking through this magazine, is this a magazine that everybody can get?
Yeah, they sure can. You can get
January 2015,
Downtown Zen
yeah.
is a product of Zappos.
Boyd Gaming.
And you can go get it at
Right.
Zappos campus downtown. It's also available at the El Cortez. It's available throughout downtown, the Container Park.
Okay.
And 1,800 locations in Las Vegas. So it's a really great thing.
Well, in this, you've got so many different unique pieces, and as you were pointing out, the cane that you've got right here on this one
I
page.
love that.
That has
Masterson.
yeah, and then but it's got a watch up here on the top.
It's got a clock. So that's a steampunk thing. Kind of take something common and invent something different.
Right, and then the glasses that you said you're wearing on your hat. You said those were from your grandfather.
Those are from my grandfather.
Is that from driving the car, the old 19?
No.
These are from the 1880s, and those are initiation goggles from the Masonic Lodge.
Like in the movie, I just refer to the movie because remember when Nicolas Cage, puts the glasses down, he finds the glasses, and he's trying to see the secret code.
And by the way, for those people out there that love this kind of stuff, at our convention, we're going to have over 25 some vendors. And the best makers of all this steampunk stuff.
You can buy that stuff when you go out there.
And you can buy it.
I like a cane. I would like to have one of them.
You got it. There's going to be people there with amazing canes and top hats and goggles and all of that. So you've got to come down to the Main Street Station and be with us. And
this sounds like
anybody
fun.
who loves this sort of thing.
Well, Steve, we have a lot for doing in February. Your thing on the 9th?
We're the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And 8th, and then we got the 21st is the WEMA event, right, honey?
February the 21st.
And then then we'll be singing at the Smith Center with Jimmy Melodor, Sandy, and I, the jazz room.
Oh my gosh, I love
it. On the 26th,
I'm going to be there. I love jazz.
So we're
can't take away my Cab Calloway and all the way up to Benny Goodman. I just think that era was my parents.
Yeah.
And I looked at the way they dressed. They were elegant. It was something
cigarette
so,
with the holders. Remember they had the women, they had the long thing. And
I'll tell you, I love combining that music kind of like with my look. I'll have a little bit of jazz in my boombox and I make an entrance.
I'm waiting for Spats to come back.
Oh, hey,
well,
did you see my
Spats? I saw them.
Did you see
them?
Yeah,
right
look
here.
at that.
There they are.
I'm saying, I go there.
That's right.
I go there.
Those that don't know what Spats are, Spats go over the shoe, and who really made it real famous was Some Like It Hot with George Raft. Remember when George Raft walked out, he had the Spats?
Are you kidding me? I mean, Tony Curtis was my best friend, right? So I used to sit in Tony Curtis's bedroom in Henderson, and we would watch that. And when George Raft came in, he would scream and tell me the most amazing stories.
A quick story, George Raft, Sinatra loved him. And, George Raft hit some bad times. Frank, a lot of people don't know what Frank Sinatra did for many, many people. He wrote a check, signed the check, gave it to George Raft, and said, fill in what you need. Fill in what you need. And Jilly Rizzo told me that story. I'll never forget that. So God knows whatever he needed. Because Frank, he was just one of them type of guys. You only heard the bad things the guy did, not the good.
He was so elegant.
Yes, he was.
And nobody has that voice. Nobody. I mean, that voice just.
So, all right. So, if you want to give one piece of advice to somebody starting out with steampunk, what would it be?
Well, that one of the things that we have these conventions for is that we have all of these famous steampunks get up and talk about how they do it, how we put the look together. We're going to show people how to dress. And then I've got these cool bands coming in, like the Lead Belly Band is going to be there. And so we show people how to dance from the 1880s. And there'll be great vendors there and all that. So try to go to a steampunk convention.
Okay.
And they're in almost every major city right now. And I go all over the world. I've been in Oslo speaking at them. I'll be at San Francisco's Clockwork Alchemy. And, we just go and we share all of our knowledge, and we're all mentors. A lot of us are professors, and so that young people can go there and they can try to step up their look and learn a little bit something about the literary genre. February 6th is my birthday.
Happy birthday, Doc!
You're going to be celebrating your birthday party.
I'm going to have a big birthday party, so everybody come on down, and at 7:30 we're going to have a big birthday bash in the Pullman Ballroom, that gorgeous ballroom at Main Street Station. And I was going to say February the 8th is the 183rd birthday of Jules Verne. And so I'm having a fashion show that day, all Jules Verne inspired stuff, stuff from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And so that's the kind of stuff we're doing. We're having a Valentine's Sweetheart Dance on the 7th in the evening at 7 p.m. With some great entertainment. Pop Lock Holmes is going to be there. The Velveteen Band, where this guy dresses like a big bunny rabbit. It's just going to be
we got a guy named John Lindros. He does a bunny rabbit impersonation.
But really, I would love for you guys. I will comp you.
I
if you two will come down. to be
definitely
with
wanna
me.
come.
I'd love to,
I would
yeah.
Love
just,
to.
I would
Yeah.
love for you to see where the young people are going. I think you'll find it very inspiring.
I'm ready.
Hey.
Yeah, besides, I want to see what he looks like in something like that.
And a bunny outfit?
No, not
I'm
a bunny
saying top
outfit.
hat,
No, top hat, definitely.
goggles, and
Top
a
hat.
nice long frock coat.
Oh yes,
work
yes.
that.
You could. Oh, you
As
definitely.
long as I
could
have a
with that.
cane, a Bat Masterson cane. I love
say,
Bat Masterson.
George Raft, move over, dude.
Watch it, baby.
Well, thank you so much. And this has been Doc Phineas Castle. Thank
Yeah,
you so much
Doc,
for
we
joining
love
us here
you, buddy.
today.
We love you.
Wonderful having you here.
I
You
love
gotta
all
come
of you
over for
out
dinner
there, and-
sometime.
oh, you guys are the best.
And we'll be
Thank
out there February the 6th for the Steampunk Convention.
Yeah, we'll be punking around,
That's
man.
right. That's right.
And if you don't go, I'm going to punk you personally.
Thanks for listening to Sandy Castell and Friends Variety Show, and you can check us out today on YouTube.com, and also don't forget to watch the TV show that's out on Keen TV and the Walk TV. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I
Bye.
can't wait, everybody. I got such heartburn. Yeah, yes, sisters kazoo.
Stick with me, sister. I'm a gal that you came in with. Luck be a lady.
Anyone can train for a job. What you're looking for is a career. Log on now to